Hello everyone, welcome back to another deadline stream on the channel. Today will be my Gameweek 28 deadline stream. I'm just looking if I have my charger with me. If not, I'm going to have to take a break halfway through the stream, but I hope we're all well. Welcome to the stream. We have a lot to look forward to in just a second. I'm actually going to start the stream by pulling up a graphic by Rob T, and we'll get straight into answering your questions as soon as we take a look at my team. So that is the wrong screen. I do apologize. Hold on, am I tweaking? No, that is the right screen. There you go, Rob T. Okay, so in front of you I have the Gameweek 28 highest projected scores. Do let me know if you can see and hear me all alright. Janny's head is gone mad. I agree. I agree. Is this you guys joining from Janny's stream? Yeah, his head is gone mad, I have to say. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, Janny, some interesting moves for sure. And I love to see it because, they are bold and taking a hit in any given week. It is taking a punt, but I hope it does work out for you, Janny. What did you end up going with anyway? I know you're not absolutely locked in, but I'm intrigued to see what you end up doing. And I do think, in general, the moves are definitely for the better. But -4 to get rid of Rodgers is bold, I have to say. Like even for your standards, Janny, where you can be quite punty, as am I, that's a very, very bold move to get rid of Rodgers before Wolves. But yeah, let's see how it works out. I'll have to definitely stay in tune with what you're doing, Janny, and thank you for having me on. Much appreciated. But on here, we're going to take a look at my team. We're going to have a look at... Oh, look at that. Thank you, Marvin, for becoming a member on the channel. Welcome to A Cup of Chai. Do send me on your number on Twitter, and I'll have you added to the WhatsApp. Again, thank you for supporting the channel. Very, very good addition to the start of the stream, and I hope you enjoy your stay. Again, a lot of my members will be joining the stream in just a second, but thank you, Marvin. Much appreciated. Just going back to my team then, I'll pull it up quickly in front of you. I spoke on Janny's stream a small bit on it already. Here's the team in front of you. And to be honest, I don't know how to feel about this week, but two things are for certain. I need to make some transfers, and the other thing is I'm actually quite happy with the midfield. I'm actually going to put the armband on Haaland because I did say that I'm more than happy to put it on him for this particular game, because I'm actually going to save that right now. But that midfield, I really, really like it. I feel like it could be very high scoring. Semenyo, Bruno, Ndiaye and Rodgers, for me, all players who can return quite high this game week. Iliman and Ndiaye slightly underrated because I actually feel like this is a great game with Newcastle for him to get DEFCON. Rodgers just has the fixture, same with Semenyo, and Bruno is always going to be a good pick. Again, just taking a look at the graphic from Rob T, Mo Salah 6.3, which is very, very high for Salah's standards. The problem with Salah probably comes in Gameweek 29, back-to-back games in quite quick succession. Bruno and Haaland. Nketiah, the one I'm very mad I can't get to. Anthony Gordon in 5th. Brian Mbeumo in 6th. Bukayo Saka in 7th. And then we have Gakpo, Thiago, Kuna, Wilson, Szoboszlai, Royce, Malik Chow and Senesi. First question we'll take then is from Ray. He says, Shai, what are your thoughts on Kevin Shade? I have to say I do quite like Shade, but you know what, I would prefer Ataro Dango for the price point. And also I just feel like Shade's been kind of stop-start since his time out of the team, so that's why I definitely prefer Dango. Different price point and more form, I'd say, since coming back from AFCON. Arul says Shalaba to VVD, Verts to Dango, and Krupi to Thiago. Perfect moves for me, and I'd have absolutely no complaints with that. Mark says Janny has gone to a dark room. Let's go back to my team then. Like I said, I think I'm really comfortable to go with Haaland, and I think especially now that I have Semenyo in the team, look, if I expect Haaland to do well, the likelihood is that Semenyo is somewhat involved in some sort of goal share. So I do quite like having Haaland as captain, especially when I've got Semenyo in the team. And I think that will also be the case for a lot of Bruno Fernandes owners. Like, I'd be more inclined to captain Bruno if I've also got Brian Mbeumo, and that's for sure. Um, uh, I don't know how I feel about this week overall though, and let's actually do our first poll of the stream. Let's do who your captain is on. Now this will probably be a poll that many of you guys have probably answered already, but who is your game week 28 captain? I actually think a lot of people will be going the Bruno route, and I actually don't mind it. For me, I just don't know how I feel about this Crystal Palace fixture. Like, it is a tough one to call for me, and it's actually just going to be a poll with Haaland, Bruno, and other. So do vote in the poll, do hit the like button, and subscribe. Again, we're on 9,613 subscribers, almost at the 10,000 mark. We'll have to do something special for that. So only 387 away, which is, mad to think. And I've tried to be as consistent as possible on here. I've actually done quite well so far this season. And we've got our first super chat of the stream.
Read your thoughts, mate. ID 2,469,956.
Thank you, Maximillion, for the super chat. He says, I need your thoughts, mate. And he donates 10 PLN. We'll pull that up real quick, Maximillion. And thank you for the super chat. Again, a lot of you guys supporting the channel week in, week out. Let's actually pull up Maximillion's team real quick. So his team is 2469956. Here is his team. Florian Wirtz unfortunately flagged. But let's take a look at Maximillion's team. What would I do with this? And do put your input in chat. Does Rob T report the actual goals scored in comparison to projections too? He doesn't, not that I know of, but he does do everything else pretty much. He doesn't actually show what actually happens. But let's quickly look at Maximillion's team. So he has one transfer in the bank with 1.2 million. He's actually also got to double up on the Chelsea guys. Unfortunately, he's got an injury with Florian Wirtz, but he does have Thiago and Erling Haaland in place. So what would I do with this team? I'd actually just start Hill. I'd have no issue with benching Chalobah, Enzo and Marquis. I would just sell Florian Wirtz, I think. And, I don't really love selling Wirtz, but he's going to be out. So I feel like it is necessary. And it is also a really fast turnaround to the next game after that. So I do feel like he's a sell. He's also really expensive. So the question for you is, who would you sell him to? Now, look at the options, and you can do two things. Like, if I quickly look at your team and filter to game week 31, you already have, how many is that? I believe that's almost a full 11. Yeah, pretty much. You've 9 players already. So actually that's 10 players already, so you only need to move one of your assets either now or later down the line to make room for a full 11. Now, of course, Florian Wirtz is going to be one of those, but I think you're well capable of going towards an Antoine Semenyo if you wanted to. If you want a defender like Virgil van Dijk for Timber, I also think that's fair, but for me, I still feel like I'd sell Wirtz. I actually think I would bring in Semenyo. And the reason I'd bring in Semenyo is because, like I said, you have plenty of options later down the line. I would probably hold on to Timber until 31. And then in 31 would be the week in which I would get rid of him for probably Virgil. You could do it earlier, but I don't think there's any hassle. Sorry, you already have Virgil. I don't know why I said Virgil. Apologies. I would still sell Timber. It doesn't have to be for Virgil, of course. It could be for pretty much anyone else. But the Semenyo move I really like. I feel like this is a great week to own him. Again, looking back at the market odds for this particular game week, where Semenyo is 21st on this list. Very high for a midfielder, considering the fixture is away from home. And also looking at the next few games, I mean, City are still 5th and they have a fixture missing in 31. 2.0 in game 28, 2.3 in 29, and 2.2 in 30. That's more than enough for me to be incentivized to bring in a player like Semenyo. I feel like if you don't want to go the Semenyo route and you want to continue with getting a fixture in game week 31, well then the alternative for me is a Harry Wilson or a Dango. So I don't mind doing that. Would you sell Florian Wirtz? Yes, I would. And this is Maximillion's team. So I hope that answers your question, Maximillion. Again, You mightn't love doing the Semenyo move for Verts, but I kind of feel like that's what I would do because the projections are so high. Just to note, apparently Doku's back in training, so I don't know if that's enough for to put you off going to an Antoine Semenyo, but I really, really like Semenyo still. I'm very, very high on him, and unless you're really put off by doing that, and if you are, I would just go to a Dango in that case. Anyway, thanks Maximillion for the super chat. Let's get back to my own team, and let me quickly populate chat because I just realized that I've gotten the wrong. You guys can't see your own comments, so let me quickly pull your chats up real quick. Properties, there you go. So now you can see your own chats. I do apologize. The poll is actually 51% Haaland, 37% Bruno, 12% other. It's actually much more split than I thought it was. I mean, I have to be completely honest. I was not expecting, it to be that close. Just going back to this graph then of projected goals versus clean sheets for the next 4 game weeks until the blank. No surprise to see Liverpool top on both, considering they have that extra fixture in game week 31 in comparison to a lot of other teams who don't, who are the best teams in the league, and that's City and Arsenal. So, that's why I'm so high on the likes of any Liverpool asset, to be honest. I actually still think there's an outside shout to go to, a Cody Gakpo, for example. And so I'm surprised that a lot more people aren't going to a Gakpo. Again, I look at his minutes in recent weeks, and they've been quite good, even though he's been early subbed. If I just quickly pull him up. Cody Gakpo, where are you? Now, saying that, I don't absolutely love him, but he is at a price point of 7.3 million. Looking at his minutes in recent weeks, since he came back from injury, he's been getting very, very solid minutes, and we do know Arne Slot does quite like him. And now Florian Wirtz is out of the equation, so I think it's more likely than not that he gets this West Ham and Wolves game. So just something to think about for sure, and I definitely don't mind him as an option. But yeah, just to let you know where my head is at, I did put out a team selection earlier today. I am genuinely thinking that it is for sure going to be Danny Munoz out of the team for Hill, and getting Igor Thiago. For me, Igor Thiago is just too good to look past at this current point in time. He's a player on form. He still comes in at a respectable price for a well-oiled Brentford, and it's the exact amount of money to do it. It gives me another fixture in 31 as well, and so does Hill by bringing out Munoz. So I don't mind that at all. To be honest, this United game isn't the most appealing for me for Danny Munoz either. So I don't mind doing that double move at all. And they're two good fixtures for this current game week as well. I sold Timber and Watkins for Virgil and Thiago. I actually like those moves, Oliver. For me, Watkins is definitely a sell, and Timber to Virgil is a solid move. Again, referring back to that graphic I just showed you, it's definitely a good move if you want to do Timber to Virgil. Alright, let me do a quick scroll on Twitter. I'm actually curious to see what other people are doing. Let me quickly take a look on the timeline. And by the way, I feel like Wilson is a phenomenal option. Let's look at the head-to-head market odds then from Rob T also. And let me quickly zoom in on them so you can see them. Here's how we're fixed for Game Week 28 anyway. Looking at the market, sorry, I'm just trying to adjust the scale of this. So here we have the odds. Liverpool 2.32. And again, I'm very, very scared, to be honest, this game week of not owning Ekitike, and I actually feel like Mo Salah could do very, very well in this fixture also. I think it's going to be rough, and also not owning Virgil van Dijk, who we know has phenomenal goal threat, good DEFCON also, and great fixtures to come, and a fixture in 39. I mean, I'm really not looking forward to that, but other than that, if I can get past the Liverpool assets, I feel like it could be a good game week for myself. And just looking at the clean sheet probabilities again, to note in correlation to my own team, Burnley have a clean sheet chance of 17%, whereas Chelsea 15%. That's why I'm opting to play Sanchez, because I do think there's very, very little in it. And I do think that Sanchez is almost a differential almost if he does get some sort of haul coming out of this game. Don't go for Liverpool, says Odin. Liverpool attack doesn't look the same without Wirtz. Maybe, but what that also does is maybe it puts a lot more responsibility on the likes of one of Mo Salah or Ekitike to start showing up. They're like Burnley. Funnily enough, Burnley are actually not the worst attack. What else is interesting? 1.70 for Villa, which is moderately high for an away fixture. I would definitely say 1.76 for Bournemouth, which is very very high. But in comparison to Brentford, everyone is bringing in Brentford assets. Thiago or Adango. There's less being spoke about. For me, the likes of Newcastle options, because there's less players to go to from Newcastle. Gordon is definitely there, and he has been on my mind, and I've had him throughout this season. He's just been so frustrating to own. So I don't think I'd go there, but again, just interesting to see Newcastle still very high. And if you look at any projections for the weeks to come, Newcastle will be high for those fixtures. Do you think Collins will start? Collins is a weird one, like a very very weird one. I don't know why he's been in and out of the team. So to answer your question, do I think he'll start? I actually don't have a solid answer for you. Would I take Ndiaye out for Wilson for a -4? Absolutely not, Ayrton. I don't think I would at all. And the reason for that is because you're going to miss that fixture next week against Burnley at home, which is almost like a captaincy option in that. So I absolutely would not sell Ndiaye. Alongside this game week, he has a chance of getting DEFCON in my opinion. So I don't think I'd take a -4 to get rid of Ndiaye, and I don't even think I'd do it for free, if I'm being completely honest. Now, I know Everton haven't been the most functional attack in the league, I'll be completely honest. I have watched Everton a lot in recent weeks because of I actually own Ndiaye, but I don't think I'd be doing it. Would you do Enzo to Wilson? That is a move I would be willing to do, but I wouldn't do it for a hit. I would just play Danny Munoz for sure. What are your thoughts on Oscar Bob? Yeah, I can't wait to see him. I mean, I feel like it's been a while, and I don't know how he's going to look in this team for Fulham, because when I think of Fulham, I don't think of a player like Oscar Bob who's so intricate and very very good with the ball. I'm used to seeing a Adama Traore or an Alex Iwobi. Oscar Bob definitely offers something else. Hi, Chai, Rice or Rodgers for Wilson for a -4? Lads, I don't think selling either of them is worth a -4. Why are people selling? So willing to sell Rodgers, who's 90 minutes and playing Wolves this week? What is going on? Am I missing something, lads? Like, genuinely, I've not thought once about selling Morgan Rodgers, and maybe that's just me, and maybe I need to start thinking about it. Play Gahey or Hill? I would definitely play Gahey. Again, look, the probabilities are on Bournemouth's side for sure, and DEFCON looks better for him, but I would prefer to play the better team always for me, even though the probabilities are leaning towards Bournemouth's side. Actually, that is something to think about, Sushant. That's much closer the more I think about it. Start one of Keane, Enzo and Krupi. I would play Krupi, I think. What do you think of Munoz and Manny out for Chow and Thiago? Yeah, I'm doing something very similar, Rob Green. I actually really like those moves. I've sold Rodgers, says Dr. James. Why? If you're selling Rodgers, why? I need to know. I need to know. That is mad. What else is interesting on this list? United, 2 goals expected versus Crystal Palace. That's very, very high for me. Not to say it's wrong, but 2 is higher than City away to Leeds at Old Trafford, of course, so it's a big game. Mark Gee out for Thiago or Tarkowski out for Van Dijk. I would do Mark Gee for Thiago. What are your thoughts on Igor Thiago captaincy? Like, for me, I wouldn't go there. The reason I wouldn't go there is because it is an away fixture at the end of the day. And I much prefer City away in a game like this in comparison to Thiago. That's just me though. And if your risk appetite is there, by all means go for it. If I had a Mo Salah, by the way, I would be doing it. Up to 5k in the world and I'm playing Rodgers. That's what I like to hear, Sushant. 5k in the world though, fair play. That is absolutely massive. Do drop in the comment section What is your current rank? In front of you, I'm currently 592, 857, which is very disappointing for me. I mean, especially how the last few weeks have gone off the back of a wild card. I mean, they've been woeful, if I'm being real. That's my current rank. Do pop it in chat. It's been annoying for me because I just feel like the Chelsea players have really let me down. Laurie says, I'm a Leeds fan. Haaland isn't getting a goal. That's what I love to hear from a fan. I love the confidence, but I don't think anyone, whether you're Arsenal, whether you're Leeds, can say Haaland is a scorer. And just that's the type of the team City are in any given week, that they can, smash it against anyone. Villa don't create much chances with the weakened midfield. Yeah, that's a narrative that we're falling into. But I look at the probability of Villa scoring a goal in comparison to Brentford, and they're practically the same. And everyone's bringing in Thiago or Dango and willing to captain a Thiago. Now, I know Rodgers isn't exactly on penalties, but he has the minutes. Fahim is 500k, McNult is 620k, T-Man's 500k, Ryan is currently 224. I mean, that is absolutely phenomenal and taking the piss, if I'm being completely honest. Fair play, Ryan, and best luck for the rest of the season. Rob Green is 450k. Koala is 29k. Derek in here is 66k. Good to see you, Derek. There's some very good ranks in here, I have to say, and some ranks very close to myself also. I'm still hoping that I can finish near enough the top 50k, which I would deem some sort of success, given the amount of game weeks we have. It is 11 game weeks remaining. Is it 11? It's 10 game weeks and a double game week to come, which is interesting. How's it going, my friend? Says Anto. Hello, Anto. Been a busy, so apologies. Good luck for the week. Yeah, there are a lot of people who are off the back of either working or still in work. So if you're one of those, do say where you're at or what you're doing. Cactus Jack also in here, by the way. 10 minutes left on his shift. I did see that comment earlier in the stream, but welcome if you are joining me from work. 2.1 million, my worst rank in my history, which is insane. Do let me know, Dominique, how many seasons you've been playing for. I'm intrigued. And also let me know in chat, lads, what is your highest finish in FPL? Mine is 1839, which we did get in that infamous season in which I was second in the world. But what's your highest finish? I feel like that's a phenomenal question. Con is bringing in Wilson. I actually quite like that. Great game versus Tottenham. Diego Simeone about Tottenham. Tottenham Hotspur in the UCL round of 16. I'm thinking about Real Oviedo. There will be time to talk about Tottenham, who is a tough opponent, an important club in world football, but we'll speak more about them when the time comes. That's going to be an interesting game to watch. You know what, I'm hoping, and I do think it will be a feisty game, because I think Igor Tudor can definitely, he's the type of manager who will make these players fight, and that's for sure. Alright, let's quickly go back to my team so you guys can see where I'm at, and I'll start answering some of your questions. Questions. Hello, Chimar says Dream. Hello, Dream. NX best rank 18k. Odin 5k. 245k is Fahim's best. Koala's highest was 3.7k. I mean, some great ranks there. 1 mil, then 809, then 1903. Dream, they are some phenomenal finishes. Harren, hello Harren, how are you? Start Dallo or Timber? I would be inclined to play Timber for me. Start Minoz or João Pedro? I would play Minoz. Who to start with? Hill, Anderson, Dango, and Wilson. Start two. Or who to start, sorry. I would start Dango. I feel like I'd actually play Wilson against Tottenham, to be honest. But it's hard to bench any player ever versus Burnley. Dominique's highest rank is 7k. Wow. Sell Timber or Richards to Virgil? I would be inclined to sell Richards for sure because the next 3 weeks for Timber aren't that bad at all. I'm thinking of doing Bowen and Shalaba to Ekatike and Hill right now. I love those moves, I can't lie. I'm trying to look at my team. I don't think there's any route for me to get to Ekatike. Like, any route at all. Which is unfortunate. You know, Thiago was that nice price point at 7.1, I think it is. Which is, you know, I can stretch to, but Ekatike is way too far to stretch for me. I don't even rate Wilson or Fulham. Sunderland without Mukiele and Robbie creating a false narrative, I hope. Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. Dream. Your thoughts about Tavernier, Shy? Great if he's fully back. But for me, I'd almost just prefer to go with a Wilson or a Dango because he's been out of the team. Yeah, I'm also scared of Ekatike killing my rank. Dream says Ekatike isn't worth it. The Mins will be shaky with FA Cup and UCL coming. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but who's going to play in front of him? I mean, the only person who I can see playing in front of him is Cody Gakpo, but I mean, Ekatike has got very, very good minutes in recent weeks. Start Enzo or Esteve. I mean, I would just play Enzo. I know you have triple Arsenal, but I mean, Esteve, I wouldn't be pushed playing a Burnley defender this game week. Ahmed's highest rank is 4k. Amazing. Alright, the poll is currently 60% on Erling Haaland, which is absolutely huge. You know what? I'm actually surprised it's not a lot more on Bruno. You know, it is a lot, don't get me wrong, but let me see what Fran is doing. Let's do a little stalk on Fran. Fran is reposting and talking about Harry Wilson. Maybe I should post that I'm live. I forgot to post that I'm live on Twitter. Oops. A lot of people are already locked in early. I'm just stalking what people are doing. VVD, Wilson, Thiago. Wilson seems to be such a popular transfer to make this week. Another Wilson owner there. Another Wilson owner here. What is going on? I didn't realize, like, Wilson's more popular than Thiago. I assume because a lot of people already own Thiago, but still. And I'm also seeing a lot of people go to Rayan, which I do really like, I have to say. I mean, Rayan is just such an exciting pick. He's exactly what you want from an FPL asset. You know, very direct, skillful, Brazilian. You couldn't ask for much more, really. Shade or Soboslai? Probably Dango, but if I had to choose, probably Soboslai. Gary says Timber to Virgil, or Timer to Virgil. I assume you mean Timber. Yes, Gary, I would absolutely do it. Dream says Anderson could go big this week. Don't blame you, Junior. Junior is talking about Elliot Anderson over Gabriel. I think Elliot Anderson is a great option still. I mean, if you own him, you definitely hold on to him. And I do wonder what position he's going to take up. He did speak about playing more forward in the team. Sushant's highest rank was 1934, which is ridiculous. Again, at and over 10k is a great finish. NX says he has 4 free transfers and doesn't know what to do. He could move Timber out, Royce or Enzo. He doesn't have I don't have some good players like O'Reilly, Virgil, Ekatike and Mbuemo. For me, my priority would definitely be moving one of Royce or Timber, and the reason for that is because, of course, the blank game week in 31. If I were to choose, I actually would go Declan Rice this game week out, and the reason I do it over a Timber is because of the phenomenal options that you can go to. Now, you can also do Virgil, who also has a great fixture this game week with West Ham. But I do quite like Rice down to any of the midfielders that we mentioned earlier. HI says, Hilatino. She says, I have O'Reilly, Semenyo, Haaland, Royce, Gabriel and Strand Larson with Mukiele injured. What should I do for game week 31? And is there any good transfers? Yeah, again, like I said, you can still get rid of a Strand Larson slash a Royce, sorry. Haaland and Semenyo and Gabriel are all holes. And Mukiele should be back by game week 31. I believe it is a 4-week time frame for Mukiele, which might just be enough time to get him back. Sarr or Krupi or Anderson to start? I would definitely start Anderson. Thanks in advance. What do you think about Saka captaincy? It's not the worst use of the captaincy, to be honest, but I do feel like Bruno and Haaland are definitely better on paper. Moira says, hello FPL Chai, my brother. My team is as follows. With 1 free transfer and 0.9 million in the bank. Robbie to Raul. Yeah, I don't mind Robbie to Raul. Again, a lot of people are very, very high on bringing in Harry Wilson, but Raul has gotten very, very good minutes and is on penalties. Hello Spasim, by the way, my bro. Hope you're well. Who to bench? Timber, Raul, Hill, or and Royce? Sorry, it was. What are your transfer plans, Shai? Also, what do you think of Konsa over Van Heck? First off, I don't mind Konsa. He's very, very cheap. Do I prefer him over a Hill? Not necessarily, but again, if you're looking for something a bit different, why not? For me, I am looking at bringing in James Hill for Manoz and doing Mane to Thiago. Again, it gives me 2 extra fixtures and also 2 players I can immediately play for this game week. Hello, Kith. How are you, Kith, with the channel membership? I have 1 transfer. Should I sell Timber for Virgil or sell Royce for Wilson? I would sell Royce for Wilson for me. Would you start Anderson or Krupi? I would definitely play Krupi. Again, not much in it, to be honest, but I would play Krupi given the fact he almost got 90 minutes last game week. Cheeky scroll on the timeline. Is there anything interesting? Not really. Tonight we have Villa versus Wolves, by the way. I'm actually looking forward to the football tonight. I always love the first fixture back, even if it's a cat game. I actually think Wolves versus Villa will be a good game for a neutral. Chai, is Tavernier a good pick? For sure he's a good pick. I do really like Tavernier. Is he a better pick than Wilson though? I don't know. Odin says, who should I bench? One of these, João Pedro, Palmer, Garner or Wilson? For me, I'd be benching I would bench Pedro. That is tough though. Hey Chai, don't have Haaland. Would you captain Bruno or Salah? Also, I know this is off topic, lol. I'm 23 years old and a computer science major. Would you recommend the AWS cloud course? That's an interesting question, Kenny. To answer that question, I suppose it really depends on what it is you want to do. Like, I would ask myself, why would I do an AWS cloud course? First off, it's definitely good to have certifications underneath your belt. That's for sure. It is something I've considered, and when you're applying for a job, that's something that would be looked at. And if it is networks that you want to do, by all means, go for it. But if that's not what you want to do in the future, then I would definitely not do it, if you know what I mean. I would actually try build my experience by doing projects, maybe building your own projects or maybe building your own things with stuff using AWS if you are interested in it and the cloud. But to answer your question, yes, but it does depend on what it is you want to do. Hello, RMs McSweeney. Good to see you, Roger. Hope you're well. Having a season from hell. Need some good differentials in the coming weeks if possible. For me, Semenyo is a great pick, Roger, and I still feel like he's somewhat differential. I'm not going to say he is, a big differential, but I don't feel like a lot of people will be bringing him in. Ter has had Verts in his or her team for a while. Doing a -4 to bring in Szoboszlai. Interesting. I don't love the Szoboszlai move, I'll be honest. Ekitike and Dango over Virgil and Szoboszlai for me. Obida. Again, that's tough. Would you start Manoz over Calvert-Lewin, Hill, Dallo, Kuna or Dango? I really find it hard to bench Manoz. And if I'm being honest, I'd probably play Manoz over Dallo. But like at the same thought, like if you're playing Kuna over a Dallo, that can be quite tough. I probably would do it over a Dallo, to be honest. Wilson for Enzo, question mark. Yes is the short answer. But again, it depends on your strategy. For me, I don't mind benching Enzo Fernandez this game week. You know, I actually think his numbers in recent weeks have been great, and he does have that pen share towards the end of the game. So I actually don't mind holding on to Enzo, and he has a fixture in game week 31. Bruno or Thiago captain? For me, Bruno, easily. HI, awesome team, thank you. I'm having a bit of a benching headache this game week. Who would you start Royce, Timber, Anderson of Fulham? Cheers. I would play Timber. I would just double up on the defence. You could play Royce or Anderson. Again, I don't think there's too much in it. Anderson, great at DEFCON, of course, but for me, I would go with Timber, I think. Would you do a -4 to get Dango and Virgil in for Chalobah and Enzo? Oshin, only if you had to start both Enzo and Chalobah this week, I could be tempted. Again, Chalobah has still a decent chance of getting DEFCON this game week, just to note. But yes, I do think those moves are worth the -4 if you have to play both Chalobah and Enzo. Who to start, Anderson or Munoz? In that case, I would start Munoz because I just feel like the attacking threat he provides, and who knows, he could even get DEFCON in this game. Your captain Ekitike, John Ross, that is very, very bold. Would you transfer in Wilson plus Thiago or Dango plus Ekitike? Again, like I said, if I could get to Dango and Ekitike, I think I'd be very tempted with it. But Wilson and Thiago is the right answer. Again, it gives you more funds in the bank. Who do I sell Chalobah for? I have Virgil and Anderson already. You're thinking Konate. Not a fan of Senesi's yellow card risk. Taron, in that case, I would just go to James Hill. Who to bench? Timber, Royce, Anderson or Krupi? In that case, I'd bench Krupi. Justo. Who knows Munoz? Exactly. You never know what you're going to get with Danny Munoz, and that's part of the joy. Do I replace Verts with Dango or Wilson? I'm going to say Dango. Wilson is very popular though. Like very, very popular. Start Timber or Krupi? Again, I would play Timber. Alright, I'm actually going to close that poll. 60% of you guys of 200 voted are on Erling Haaland, which is very, very high. Getting Thiago in? Yes, I plan on it. Again, just to reiterate over the moves I plan on doing. It's actually Munoz out. I don't have too much issue starting Munoz and Krupi this week, but Brentford's fixtures long term are there. I really like Thiago, and Hill is better for DEFCON and acts as an enabler for me. I actually have 0.1 more value than I thought I did. Oh no, sorry, that's because I'm not selling Krupi. Sorry, it's for Mane. Let me know what you think of those moves, guys. That's Hill. I'm going to poll this and I'll show you the other option. Hill and Thiago in for Munoz and Mane. Or the other option is doing Enzo Fernandez out and Daniel Munoz out for Dango Otsara and Virgil van Dijk. Now, I really, really like those moves. There's only one reason why I don't, and that is the potential minutes we're going to see Dango get. Is he going to get enough minutes in game week 30 or 29, sorry, and continue to get the minutes in 30 and 31 as well as he has done? I'm unsure how I feel about it, to be honest. Like, sorry, I'm itchy. Apologies. And Virgil is such a good pick. Like, I feel like I'm almost missing out with Virgil. Let me poll this. Never sell Munoz, says Jono. So, do you prefer Thiago plus Hill or Dango plus Virgil? I don't know if this would be close or not, but you would do Wilson instead of Dango? Yeah, I could actually do Wilson and Virgil. Again, different price points. For me, why I like this is because of what it lets me do in the future. 1.5 million in the bank is a nice way to redistribute funds when I eventually sell timber. I would do Wilson instead of Dango. I am going with Rayan. I love that Faris. Like, I do really like Rayan. I do think this Thiago plus Hill or Dango plus Virgil poll is going to be close, by the way. Do vote on the poll, lads. And also, while you're there, do hit the like button and subscribe. Rayan is another option. Do I start Krupi or Alarete? I would just play Krupi, man. Fahim says he likes Dango and Virgil more. Why? If you have a strong opinion on it, let me know. Thomas says, hey Chai, is Shade for Rice / Anderson valid, or should I get Dango or Wilson even though I have loads of money in the bank? If I sell Rice and I sell Anderson, I probably won't play Dango or Wilson in 29 and 30. A lot of planning done by you there, Thomas. So to answer your question, is Shade for Rice / Anderson valid? So I would say just get Dango or Wilson for Rice, Thomas, because I feel like Anderson is always going to tick away nicely. And Shade, he's not bad, but why not just bring in Dango over Shade? Shade does have more goal threat, but he's been stop-start. It's a Brexit poll, says Gary. Would it be dumb to bring in both Thiago and Dango? I mean, it's never really dumb to bring in a team that are playing against Burnley this game. I mean, that's the first thing. Sorry, I'm just fixing the camera because I know you guys can see the light, which I'm trying to fix. Apologies for that. Virgil is much better than Hill in defence, and Brentford has a lot of big chances, and Dango is more likely to get big chances. Yeah, but the thing Dango doesn't have is less good minutes than Thiago, and also no pens, of course. Timber, Enzo, João Pedro to Virgil van Dijk, Gakpo and Thiago. Now, Lardy, I really, really like that. And the reason I really like that is because, first off, you're doubling up on a team with great fixtures and a fixture in the Gameweek 31. You're throwing away people who don't play or have dodgy fixtures. And also Thiago, who's phenomenal this game week, and opening fixtures of West Ham at home for the two Liverpool boys. I love that. And it's another thing that I could do, which I have been thinking of for sure. And that's doing Cody Gakpo and Virgil van Dijk in rather than going one of Thiago and Hill, which is something to consider. The only thing for me though is, how does Gakpo's minutes look? Like, answers I don't know. I really don't know. Like, if you told me in the next 3 he got 75 in all of them, I could definitely justify it. Could definitely justify it. Liverpool are the highest projected scorers in the next 4. What do you think of that, guys? Gakpo and Virgil. I mean, do you prefer that over Thiago and Hill and Dango and Virgil, or no? Interesting. Pras is actually opting to go for Dango over, the likes of a Harry Wilson. And I think that's interesting because, I've seen so many other people go with Harry Wilson. So it's good to see that, a bit of variation. And he's got the tried and trusted James Hill in there. Very nice, Pras. By the way, guys, just to note, I'll actually be streaming on Sunday on Fantasy Football Scout with FPL Harry. I'm really looking forward to it. Again, Harry is someone who I have watched through seasons, and he is very, very popular within the community. And I am really looking forward to it for the reason that, Harry gets a template tag, which, whether or not that's justified or not, I'll leave it up to yourself. But and I often get the very differential tag. Another thing, which is, I don't know if that's true or not, but it will be very interesting to watch two sides of this, two different opinions, because I feel like we're very both strong-minded in how we play, and Harry is, if not the best manager out there. So really looking forward to that, and do stay tuned, guys. I will be looking forward to it. LFC fans know not to buy Gakpo. Yeah, that is true. Gakpo is not good on the eye. As an LFC fan, he is definitely not nailed with Rio playing so well. True. You know, I agree with that. Do you think Krupi starts? I definitely think Krupi starts, you know. I would be surprised if he doesn't start. Yeah, the thing though with Gakpo is, you know, Florian Wirtz out. You know, that's another position that can't be taken up or operated by Wirtz on the left. If Ekitike is going to play in the cup, well, maybe that means Gakpo bench in the cup, where Rio might play, which means a rest for Gakpo. So it kind of works both ways, I guess. Sorry, I'm just looking at someone who sent me a bench boost, one of my friends. Who to bench, Gravenberch, Hill, or Mateus Nunes? By the way, lads, this poll is 50-50. Do hit the vote buttons on it. There are almost 100 of you guys in here. And I'm actually going to have to grab my charger in just a second, so bear with me. But I hope you're enjoying the stream. I'm actually going to... Let me pull up a post real quick to keep you guys... so you can have something to look at. I'm just going to quickly grab my charger. I'll be less than 2 minutes. But here is a Rob T graphic. Stay in here for a second. I'll be 1 minute. Sorry guys, I do apologise. Very unprofessional of myself, but I'm back. I hope not too many of you guys left me in the dust. Anyway, like I was saying, like Liverpool are just, they're going to score goals in this period. I think this will be the period in which they're like, oh, Liverpool are kind of back. And therefore, because of that, I really do want in on the Liverpool attack. Whether that's through Gakpo or another way, like Florian Wirtz probably would have been the move for me. I mean, like I could still, lads, like I'm not going to do it, let's be real, but it's still so tempting for me to get Salah in because of how highly I think Liverpool will do. And that's just nothing to do with Salah and his price point. But you know, if Liverpool are going to score goals, I still feel like the person that's going to come through is going to be involved is Salah, as poorly as he's been playing again. And structurally, it really, really does look well for my team. Again, if I just quickly pull it up, like I can get Thiago for Haaland, for example, and drop Enzo down to Salah. Now, like I said, I don't think I would do that. And the reason I wouldn't do it is because how fast the turnaround is between Gameweek 28 and 29. Now, Salah is an absolute, you know, fitness monster. Let's not get it twisted. But I don't know. Like, I think if you told me he got 90 in that Wolves game, I'd be way more there. But just watching him last game week, I mean, wasn't great. And how can I justify doing that? It looks good on paper, though. I think everyone would agree with that. And at the same time, if I could get Ekitike for instead of... Like, I would actually prefer to own Ekitike than I would with Thiago currently. Again, that might be debatable, but that's just me. And if I could do this in you know, one move, it would be way more tempting to me. Enzo, Royce, or Lafi. What is the question though? Who to go with, or bench one or sell one? If you're asking me, I would start Royce. Is Pedro out for a hit worth it? No, I don't think so. I would just play him, JC. I mean, realistically, who are you going to go to for a hit? If it's Thiago, maybe. Roger says, what about Szoboszlai? I just don't love Szoboszlai, Roger. I'll be honest. Like, again, he's not a bad option at all, but so many times this season I've gone with the Enzo or Szoboszlai. I've owned Szoboszlai this season, and I don't know if he has the output I'd be looking for. Again, fixture's absolutely phenomenal, and to be honest, he's been one of Liverpool's best players this season, or if not their best player. But I just don't know how I feel about it at all. Again, it's not a bad move at all. Like, you wouldn't be surprised to see him do really well. Finally, there's Chris in the door. Hello, Chris. How are you? Good evening, everyone. Ready for a Rice haul as everyone sells them. How do you actually see that game going, guys? Let me know in chat. Liverpool versus Chelsea. Call it in chat. How do you feel? Sorry, Liverpool versus Chelsea. Sorry, Arsenal versus Chelsea. Why did I say Liverpool? Talking about Liverpool too much, man. How do we feel about that Arsenal-Chelsea game? If I'm being honest, I think it'll be 2-1. If even. Rice over Lafie? Yes, I'd play Rice over Lafie. Do you like Enzo to Gordon? I'm sick of owning Anthony Gordon, I'll be honest. And I don't think he's been great. 1-1 says Chris. Gabriel and Palmer goals. Ice G says 2-0 Arsenal. Roger thinks 1-0 Arsenal. 3-1 Arsenal. 1-1 would be funny. Arv Best says, what else do you do other than FPL? So I actually just finished work at 4 o'clock. Straight into the stream, even though I was on Janny's stream from 4 o'clock to 4:30. Hopped on here after finishing work as well. So I develop an app. That's what I'm currently doing. Just arrived. What's the thinking on not going Bruno capped? Palace are 10 times worse than Leeds currently. Yeah, I would agree that Palace are definitely worse than Leeds. But for me, City in these moments when they're going for a title, as an attack, they function better than United. And I still feel like Palace can turn it on in any given game week. Sure, Palace have been bad. I look at for what's to come for Palace in this game, or how I see it going, and I don't think Palace would roll over. I don't think that for a second. I could be completely wrong, and quite often it can be a case at Old Trafford that can happen, and United are on phenomenal form. But I just look at the game for what it is, and I do think that it's definitely a decent game for Palace. And United's problems this season have come versus the worst teams. Would you play Timber or Chalobah? Ferris, if you think that's going to be the case, then I would just play Chalobah. Why aren't you taking a -4 for Sanchez? Because a -4 isn't worth it, because it gains me nothing even if that player gets a clean sheet. And you know what? I would rather just roll the dice. Start Kelleher or Allison? Definitely Allison. Debatable, but definitely Allison. This will be the week Mo Salah bags. I'm calling it now, lads. Like, I have that feeling in my stomach. Who to bench? Gravenberch, Hill or Mateus Nunes? Gravenberch. Dennis says Timber to O'Reilly or Rice to Wilson. O'Reilly is basically an attacker now. You see, with Wilson, you gain an extra fixture. So it's tough. I mean, if you have a full 11 for 31, then go with O'Reilly, but I assume you don't. Play one, Palmer, Saliba, or Minoz. Oh, I'd definitely play Palmer. There'd be no way I'd be benching Palmer this game week. Fair to say Chai loves Mo Salah. I do. I actually, you know what? I was thinking about it. I actually do really like Mo Salah. And again, I try not to let that influence my FPL. But like I still feel like Salah has a player in him. He's just been really, really poor. He's just not on form. But when the good fixtures come, lads, it doesn't matter if you're not on form, really. I always say fixtures over form. And if I'm going with that logic, then Mo Salah's the man. I mean, he does lead this game week for projected points. Like, bench one of Palmer, Xavi Simons, and Krupi. I mean, I bench Krupi. I suspect Xavi Simons will be a busy boy, potentially maybe getting DEFCON. I've seen the lads doing hard yards as well. Igor Tudor has them doing the bleep test. So it's going to be an interesting watch versus Fulham. I can't say I'm looking forward to it. Sunday to watch Spurs play. Great. Good evening, Shoy. Haven't used your bench boost. I have.
Who would you start this week, Group Junior or Senezi?
Thank you for the super chat, Kappa. He sends me 45 TRY. What is TRY? Let me quickly look that up. TRY currency. Turkish lira. Thank you for the super chat, Kappa. Who would you start, Krupi or Senesi? For me, I would play Senesi. Look, he's been really poor in recent weeks, and that's for sure. When I say he's been really poor, I mean from an FPL point of view. I mean, he's not gotten the DEFCON, but again, Sunderland will keep him busy. I think it's actually a decent game for him to get DEFCON, and you know he's going to start in comparison to Krupi, where there is a chance is either one, his minutes aren't good, or he doesn't even start the game. So I would just go with Senesi. I think it's the safer option, the wiser option. But also, I have no issue with playing Krupi at the same time. You know what I mean? His minutes in recent weeks have gone up. Do I think Spurs get relegated? Honestly, I don't think so. The reason I don't think so is because, you know, West Ham's fixtures, you know, aren't great. I don't know what results I see them getting. And I do think Spurs will get some sort of results in the games to come. Where they're going to come, I genuinely could not tell you. But yeah, exactly. Like M. says, like West Ham's fixtures are just so poor. Like, let me quickly pull up West Ham. Sort by West Ham. Look at that. Like Liverpool away, Fulham away, City at home, Villa away, and then even Wolves, Palace. It doesn't get worse than that. And even towards the end of the season, Brentford, Arsenal, Newcastle, Leeds. There's some tough games. Spurs are shite, don't get me wrong, but we're going to have a player or two come back from injury. The new manager, hopefully there'll be some sort of bounce. In comparison to Spurs fixtures, I mean, you know, our fixtures aren't, you know, much better if I'm being completely honest, but you'd still expect us to get some sort of wins in these games. Like you could see a result at Fulham, result versus Crystal Palace, Liverpool no chance. You could see a result versus Forest, Sunderland, Brighton, Wolves, Villa probably no chance, Leeds meh, Chelsea no, Everton at home in the final game of the season. I don't think we get relegated. Again, I think if we beat Fulham today or Sunday, sorry, I don't think we'll be having discussions about relegation anymore. And I hope that's the case anyway. So you're gonna watch the Villa game tonight? Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to it. Would you start Anderson against Spurs or start Enzo, Chai? To be honest, again, I don't think there's much in that at all, really. I mean, I can't say I fancy Fulham to keep a clean sheet, nor do I fancy Enzo to get anything versus Arsenal. So I would almost say flip a coin there, and I wouldn't be getting too caught up on it. Chris says thoughts on Palmer and Krupi for Wilson Nekatike. I still own Rice. Palmer and Krupi for Wilson Nekatike. I mean, I like the moves. I just don't mind holding on to Palmer. Again, maybe that's just me. But I don't mind holding on to Palmer. But yeah, those moves are good, Chris. Can we play you every week? Can we play you every week? Tottenham Hotspur. Can we play you every week? Bro, every decision I've copied from you turned out to be worse. Ha ha ha, love her. That's the game we play, Martin, isn't it? Like, sometimes it'll go my way, sometimes it won't. I seem to have a style in which is a bit more explosive, and when it doesn't go our way, you definitely notice because no one else around you seems to go on the same route. But yeah, it is. It's been weird for Tottenham. Haven't bought a Spurs player since game week 4. Yeah, that's just like virtue of how our season has gone, to be honest. Bench one of them, Buemo, Ekitike, Anderson, Wilson, or Dango this week. I love Anderson's consistent 4-pointers. In that case, I would... Oh, that's a tough benching decision. If I had to choose, I would bench Wilson. I got a 4-point bench boost. Yeah, me too, Martin. I do apologise about that. On paper, though, I thought it would be much better. Mate, Wilson or Dango, please answer. I got you, my man. For me, it's Dango. Like, I do really like Wilson also, but Dango is just a bit more exciting, has a bit more about him for me. When I say a bit more about him, I mean the capability for points. You know, Wilson's also great, though, don't get me wrong. Sorry guys, just scrolling through the timeline, see if we're going to get anything interesting. I don't think we are, by the way. I'm just, I love seeing what other people are doing. Paddy's taking a hit from Buemo in and Dango in. Alright, nothing interesting at all. So let me quickly show you the potential moves that I'm talking about then. And how they, you know, look on my future. So if I quickly pull up my team real quick. That is not my team. Alright, there is my team. And this is how it currently looks. So, I mean, like, I actually like my team for this game week for what it's worth. Look, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world if I were to roll. Can it be better? Absolutely can be better. And that's why I do like getting rid of my nose for Hill. I think there's a lot of value in me, now that I've already used my bench boost, to have a dead spot on the bench. When I say dead spot, I mean a 4 million asset in James Hill. He's not a dead spot necessarily, but, you know, someone who is not going to play every single week. And then doing Mane up to Thiago. That's great because, you know, Mane is not going to play for me, one. And plus, the only reason I need someone there is because in game week 31. So, I mean, I think that's a great use of transfer personally. I actually really want to start Krupi this game week, I'll be honest, but there'll be no way I play him ahead of Thiago. So that's how the team would look in game week 28. Again, we go, if I were to go with that team into game week 31, then I would have 10 players currently playing in my team. So that means between now and then, I need to make a move. In game week 29, this is how the team looks. Again, fixtures, from a fixtures point of view, you know, it's quite good. I think it's fair to say. I would probably play Trevor Chalobah in this game week due to DEFCON and how much DEFCON Villa give up. I would also be very tempted to play Enzo. I actually think this could be a week in which I could, you know, get a lot of fruit from Iliman Ndiaye. I don't think it would be likely that I would captain Iliman Ndiaye. I don't think that's a possibility at all. But again, just nice to have an option there. Whether or not I would play the double up of Senesi and Hill, I mean, I don't know. For me, looking at this team on paper, it is definitely a benching dilemma. Like, I feel like any of the three on the bench could get into this team. But for me, like, that's a good decision, or a good position to be in. And I still really love the idea of bringing in Virgil for Timber for that Wolves away fixture. Again, particularly in this game week, because I do think there's a chance that we see reduced minutes for Timber in this fixture because of you know, how fast the turnaround is. But yeah, like, this move is not necessary, but I think I'd do it anyway. Chris is asking in the chat, are you worried about Dango's minutes? Like, I don't think Ramadan will affect Dango too much. Again, I know there is data to support the fact that Dango in previous seasons where Ramadan is definitely some proof in the pudding, but you know, I'm not overly worried, to be honest. Riskara says, hey Chai, hello. Riskara, I hope you're well. And then going into game week 30, this is how the team looks. Again, this is why I actually don't mind holding on to Timber for this game week, because Brighton away is not the worst game. And then at 30, you have a double up with Everton at home, and then the Bournemouth guys have Burnley away. So, you know, that actually looks quite well. And then you probably play Krupi Jr. over a Iliman Ndiaye, who, you know, is not the worst benching in this game week. And then in 31, that's how the team looks, and that's where I make that move to get rid of Ajuri and Timber. Now, whether or not that is going to be for someone different in game week 31, again, if we just quickly look at the fixture map that is to come with what's currently penciled in from game week 31 onwards. I mean, looking at the doubles, like, coming out of the double, you probably want to be bringing in the likes of City players. In 31, if I have to sell Timber, if I look at defenders that I probably want to go to, you know, I could probably go to another Liverpool asset in Virgil, like Konate. Like, I mean, I don't mind that either. And if I pencil that in, it leaves me money in the bank, which is, you know, always great. And I don't think it's too much hassle having a Konate instead of a Virgil. Of course, the only thing wrong with Konate is that he's very injury prone. But if you can look past that, I mean, very little in it. And sure, Virgil provides better attacking threat, but in a one-off game week, really, not too many worries there. Coming out with 32, then we need to start adjusting the team, and that's for sure. I mean, probably selling a lot of the Bournemouth options and making room for more City options, because again, they likely have a double in game week 33. So the team is probably looking something like that. And I know I'm absolutely waffling, and this is so later down the line, but again, just something to keep an eye on. Anyway, let's get back to my own team. We have 56 minutes until the end of the stream. So staying tuned with that. Let me bring back up the comment section. Choi, what are your thoughts on keeping Enzo? I'm of the mindset of keeping Enzo for the time being, Riscara. I actually think I could play him in game week 30 and 31. So I don't have too many issues with holding on to him. Who to start? Krupi, Royce or Timber? I would just start Timber in that case. Enzo to Wilson or Collins? I would go Enzo to Wilson or Collins to Hill. I would go Wilson. Are you happy with playing Bournemouth defence in 31? I mean, not necessarily happy, Christian, but if I can get to 11 players, so be it. I think it's not going to be perfect in a blank game week anyway. Thiago or Ekitike for João Pedro? I actually quite fancy Ekitike, lads. It's kind of not being talked about too much, Ekitike, but I don't know. The reason why Thiago is, of course, so appealing is because how much cheaper he is than Ekitike. And also, it's probably fair to say he's better minutes. If I'm answering right now, I'd probably still say Thiago, but Ekitike is definitely really nice to have if you own him. So, great question. Get Enzo to Dango and Timber to VVD. Yeah, I've thought about that as well, Christian. Enzo to Dango and Timber to VVD. That's the poll that is currently 50-50 and has 140 votes. I mean, I knew it would be very, very close on the poll as well, because it is very, very close. There's very little in it. Is Ekitike likely to double and Brentford not? Yes, that is true. But Ekitike is also, because they're in more European places and FA Cup, Ekitike is likely to have less minutes than Brentford. So yes, it's a double-edged sword, I suppose. And maybe that's why I just go to a Virgil and a Dango. Like, if I go Virgil and Dango, again, there really isn't anything in any of those moves. Like, I think it could be swung any way, but it's really close. Genuine question. Do your work colleagues call you on a Friday afternoon to get FPL advice? Good question, Chris. The thing about my friends, I mean, in particular, not necessarily my work colleagues, because it's not very popular in my current work. In my old work, it was. And yes, they didn't call me, but they definitely messaged me. And a lot of my friends do message me to ask me what I think. And it is funny because, like, previously, before content, they would have never texted me, really, until I showed so much interest in it. But yeah, they do, is to answer your question. Tosin Sanchez, he's been garbage. I mean, yes, he is garbage, but more save points than versus Arsenal than Dubravka, absolutely. And the other thing for me is there's only 3% in the difference in bookies, so I don't mind playing Sanchez's differential. Like, more people will be playing Dubravka than they will be Sanchez this game, which I'm fairly confident of, so I'm happy to go with Sanchez. I wildcarded and was tempted to go for Salah, but cannot fit him in. I also have all other chips left when you reckon I use triple captain. I'll be completely honest. If I was on wildcard again in this current moment, I think I would be going with Salah and Haaland. I know I sound like a broken clock throughout this whole season, but I just mean, like, why not going into the later stages of the season? And that means you'd have potentially Salah doubling in the double game week and Haaland, and you could use your triple captain in that game week. So it's just something to think of. Is Ndiaye still a keeper? Absolutely is. Your captain Ekitike, I love that. It's bold though. I'm in the position of having Salah now, but would rather captain Bruno this week. Simi, if it were me, I would be all over captain Salah this game week. If I'm being completely honest. If you go Virgil and Dango now, will your team set up? Who gets dropped? Sorry. If I go Virgil and Dango, then Krupi gets dropped for Dango and Minoz goes to Virgil. I remember not long ago when Alisson got us 10 points against Arsenal. He served me well. Exactly. In these big games, you know, game state you have to consider. So it's kind of why I don't mind playing Sanchez. Choi, what do you think of Shalaba and Madueke to Virgil and Wilson? Great moves. No complaints there. And you can use your third free transfer Mane to Thiago. I would absolutely do that, Martin. All three of those moves are brilliant. Bench one of Palmer, Bruno, Mbeumo, Dango, Szoboszlai. Oh. Honestly, probably Dango. Like, they have the least probability of a goal. Well, okay, you have Palmer, but Palmer probably has the highest goal involvement if Chelsea are to score. Yeah, he was shocking versus Forest, but no matter how shocking he is, Liverpool will always find a way to score goals, and as long as he's getting the minutes, you would bank on him to be involved. You know, he can be shocking for all I care, if you know what I'm saying. Lads, I'm actually so hungry. Can't wait to make dinner. What is for dinner? I'm unsure. Let me know in chat. What are you guys having for dinner? This poll is going nowhere. 162 votes and it's 50-50. So I'm actually going to end it there. Good to see that you guys agree with me though, that it is a very, very close poll. And no obvious answer. Alright, I'm going to do another little scroll on the timeline, see what's going on. Nothing interesting on the timeline once again. Not that I'm expecting anything, but I'm trying to see how many people are locked in. Andy Martin has made 2 free transfers. Couldn't get Rayan or Dango out of my mind all day. Ekitike captain, as I wanted to go against Haaland this game week. He is indeed a Leeds fan. If Arsenal don't clean Sunday, I'm ruling myself out of winning FPL this season. 4 chips remaining. Very nice, Andy. And to be honest, a very solid team. Love the boldness he's going in. Rayan is another option I can go to, ladies and gentlemen, if I don't want to go with Dango. Like, if I look at my team, okay, this is the iteration of going Thiago. I could actually just avoid going that route and go, if I reset the team, and just going, sorry, I just had a thought in my mind there. Like, I could hold Daniel Munoz over a Timber, which sounds stupid, but they both blank in 31. I'm going to sell Timber anyway. Nah, that doesn't make sense. Anyway, I could do Daniel Munoz to Virgil still. And then the other move is to do Enzo to Rayan, which is a deadly move, I have to say. I mean, he's been very, very exciting since coming in. And again, the fixtures are not the greatest from 31 onwards, but like, I don't mind those moves at all. And it saves me that bit more money in the bank. I mean, how much is Dango now? I think he's 5.9, which is 0.3 more expensive. And again, because my team value is absolutely shot, it goes a long way for me. What I don't love though is like, I still feel like we're to learn about Rayan. I mean, he has been great, but I don't know. Meatball says Ornick. Shout out to Ornick, who actually answered the food question. Dango or Szoboszlai for Enzo? I'd go Dango. Who is the best differential captain? The best differential captain is Salah, without a doubt. Gyökeres, Joe Pedro and Haaland, definitely not template as I look at most front lines. Yeah, that is wild if you've got that front line. Fair play, Visser. Rayan or Dango? Again, close. I do quite like both of them, and that's something I'm debating as well. But if I have to answer, it's probably it is probably Dango. Just Dango's probably the best option out of all of them for me. Malta says I have both Verts and Enzo. I want to sell one to Wilson. I would sell Verts. Would you sell Verts and hope to be back soon, or just sell Verts? I would just sell Verts, man. Again, like I said, Enzo you can get value out of in game week 30 and 31. Thoughts on Dan Ballard and Xavi to Konate and Dango? Great moves. Any thoughts behind taking Timber out, or just some potential rotation coming up in the Champions League? For me, he doesn't play in game week 31. I've already wildcarded, so it's more important to me to get players who play 31 and have a chance of doubling in 33, and Virgil is the man for me because of that. So Verts is not going to start, no. I think I'm going to make my moves early, guys. I'm fairly confident now. Again, Bournemouth have phenomenal fixtures. James Hill is almost an enabler as well, so I'm actually going to make my moves right now. I'm not going to overthink this, and I'm quite happy to make these moves. The plan was Salah going into the game week, but again, just something is off. No Liverpool assets going into the week though. Ooh. You know what the other thing I could do is Thiago in for Mane and Enzo out. Now why I don't like that is because I'm going to have to sell Daniel Munoz at some point anyway. So it probably does make sense to get rid of him, but no, I'm not going to second guess myself. I think this is the right thing to do. Hill in, Sunderland at home, Brentford at home, Burnley away. 3 great fixtures. United at home, you don't mind that too much. And I think I'm just going to make the moves and call it a day. What's a good differential captain? I don't have Salah. In that case, Bruno, I suppose. Xavi to Rayan or Xavi Sarr to Rayan Dango -4. Xavi to Rayan is fine. Yeah, so I have the exact money to get to Hill and Thiago, which I don't mind doing. And I think I'm just going to make those moves. Like, I can't see any other iteration I could make. Thoughts on DCL for next week? Yeah, DCL is not bad. He's not one that's been talked about at all, and maybe rightfully so, but yeah, DCL not a bad option at all. I was looking at some models earlier, and they also like the move of getting Hill and Thiago. Not that I'm high on them, but I always cross-reference just to be transparent, which is always a good sign. My team kind of gets tricky in the later game weeks though. No Liverpool is why I voted for Van Dijk. Yeah, it's a shame. No Liverpool, but what do I have? I have Bournemouth. Do you think Wilson does well versus Spurs? I mean, I look at how Wilson done versus last time versus Spurs, and again, that was more sort of Spurs being shite rather than Wilson being, you know, phenomenal. I mean, the goal Vicario gave away, ridiculous carry on, like. So, to answer your question, I do think Spurs can get a result out of this game versus Fulham. That doesn't mean Wilson can't return, but Tottenham currently have 9 players injured. That is true. Who would you bench? Raul for Anderson, Hill, or Gay? I would bench Raul, or who would you bench? Raul? That question is so confusing, Zion. Sorry. Again, I'm just looking through the timeline. Okay, I think I'm going to pull through with these moves, ladies and gentlemen. Hill in for Manoz and Thiago in for Mane. Gives me 2 extra fixtures for game week 31, which is around the corner. I need to start looking at. And then it's about readjusting Timber, Enzo, which are probably the only pain points in my current team. I mean, Sanchez as well, but I think I'm just at a point in the season where I'm happy to just roll out with Sanchez for the time being until, I need to just... I do... Look, if Enzo wasn't such a good option to hold in game week 30 and 31, I'd sell him, but he is. So I think that's why I'm leaning towards not going the Dango and Virgil route. And Hill also, structurally, it looks much better to have Thiago over Mane and Hill in for Manoz than vice versa. Because then later down the line, I can keep Hill for the rest of the season probably, downgrade one of Senesi, Chalobah or Thiago down to if I want to move forward. Alright, I'm going to make those moves. I'm happy with them. There we go, guys. This is how we look for the week. Thiago is finally in. I'm actually going to put Enzo Fernandez first bench, Krupi second bench, and Chalobah last on the bench. And like I said, I'm playing Sanchez over the Bravka. For me, there's just nothing in it. I'm after bringing in Thiago. The reason I brought in Thiago is because I think he's going to score. But yeah, I actually think the team is moderately strong going into the week. I have definitely differentiated myself a little bit with like Semenyo and Di Rodgers and Bruno. I don't think that's a permutation that many people have. Haaland Thiago is, very, very popular. Do you look at what day the fixture is when deciding your captain? Absolutely not. It's largely irrelevant for me. I really look at what I think the game is going to be. So if I think City, for example, are going to beat Leeds 4-0, well then I'm going to captain him over Leeds or over the likes of Bruno if I think the Bruno game is going to be 1-1, if you know what I'm saying. And then I look at the goal share. So if I think Haaland is the most involved player for City, so therefore if there's going to be 4 goals, well, likely going to be involved. Whereas Bruno is the most involved for United as well, but if I think the game is going to be 1-1, well then it doesn't really matter. In comparison, where if I think United are going to win 3-0 and we know how involved Bruno is, well then I will captain Bruno. But I just don't think it'll be one of those games for United. Yeah, a lot of home fixtures in this team, and the away fixtures are very good fixtures. By the way, one differential I'm calling for this game week is going to be Iliman and Ndiaye. I think Ndiaye will hold this game week. Double digit, DEFCON as well. Hold me to it, guys. And don't at me when I'm wrong. Versus Semenyo or Dango? Depends how you're fixed, Mark, for game week 31. In general, Semenyo, but Dango if you need a fixture in 31. Start Gahey or Timber, Chai? I would play Gahey. I would diversify their portfolio. Again, Chelsea's not an easy fixture. I think that's fair to say. Alright, let's do another little scroll on the timeline. I'm actually going to post my team on the feed before I forget, guys. There you go. And post this. So I am currently, what am I? I am 492,857. Very, very poor, guys, by the way. Underwhelming from myself. And it's been, I have to be honest, with Spurs and FPL, it's been a very frustrating season of football for myself. Even when Spurs are bad and FPL has gone good, it can be hard. But when Spurs are bad and FPL is bad, then it's my God. But I'm still enjoying the season, and the reason for that is because I get to continue to display what I want to do to you guys, even if it's not working out for me. I mean, there's a lot of joy in that for me. I love the fact that I have a platform and I can interact with you guys, and you can bench questions with me. That keeps me going for sure. And sorry guys, I'm going to try to answer questions while I type this out. Hey Shai, what are your thoughts on Thiago captain, says Refical? It's not the worst Refical at all, but by no means is he a better captain on paper than Haaland or Bruno. I'd much prefer Haaland and Bruno this game week if I'm being completely honest. Just So I've done 2 free transfers. How do I say this? Munoz to Hill. Where is that little thing on Munoz's name, by the way? Is it the O? I think it's the O for Munoz. The little squiggle. Sorry guys, I'll get back to chat in just a second. It isn't, it's the N. Sorry, I'm an absolute novice. I didn't even know where it was. Hello, I saw Magic. How are you, man? Sean McCormack is in here as well. Hi, Chai. How are you? I'm all good, man. Thank you for asking. You 5.8 for a midfielder. Rayan, I assume you mean Rayan rather than Ryan. Anderson or Tavernier. I'd love Tavernier, just depends, but slightly worried about minutes. Sorry, my chat has just frozen. Is my stream down? Oh no, we're good. Sorry, I need to pull back up chat. Sorry guys. Get that back up. To answer your question, I would go to either Dango or Rayan. I actually quite like Rayan. He's very, very differential. Sorry, that N is not happening, guys. I can't use my keyboard right. And the other transfer for me is Mane to Thiago. I believe Mane also had something on his name. Could be wrong. On the E, I think it was. But again, I cannot pull that up. So let's do Brentford, a B. And let's do Hill as a Hill. No, Hill doesn't work. A Mountain. Yeah, Mountain will do. And then let's say I feel like that had to be done personally. Had the exact amount of funds to do it. Sets me up well for game week 31. On paper it looks well for this game week as well. Starting Sanchez over Dubravka. For me, almost nothing in it. And then Haaland, Haaland needs to be up here. Haaland. Starting Sanchez over Dubravka for me, almost nothing in it. Thiago, quite like the team. Lads, my Q wasn't working for a second. Quite like the team. Let's see some teams below. Sorry guys, I'm getting absolutely sidetracked. Let's do a little fire emoji. Okay, I am locked in. The team is indeed locked in. Twitter has posted. Let's do another little scroll on the timeline. Stalk a few accounts. This is what I love to see. Cole Palmer to Mo Salah and Enzo to Dango. I mean, I wish this was me, but it's not, because that is an insane team. Triple Arsenal, triple Liverpool, double Newcastle defence. What is going on there? I respect the hustle. That is beautiful. Lucas, what's he doing? Hill and Thiago as well. He's doing the exact same moves as me. Alright, one last little scroll and then we'll get back to your questions, guys. Again, I do apologise if I'm neglecting chat. Alright, back to some of your questions then. My team is locked in. Less about me, more about you. Semenyo captain, bench boost active. Lovely ISO magic. Let me know who's on the bench. Refical says sometimes FPL is all about making the friends along the way. Absolutely, Refical. Hopefully Krupi gets a start. Yeah, I'd be quite confident of a Krupi start. Timber to VVD says Joshua. And Palmer to Wilson / Dango. A good move. Yeah, those are good moves for sure. A lot of people are selling Palmer, but actually I don't mind holding him. You know, it's not the worst thing in the world. Hi Chai, easy Arsenal draw. makes their assets more nailed in the Premier League. Perhaps, they're definitely going to still play a full strength team, and that's for sure. But it depends on the legs. So, like, if they go into the leg smashing the teams 3-0, well, then we might see some rotation. But I can't imagine that's going to be the case, even given their good draw. How are you, Choi? How are you feeling this game week? I mean, in terms of my team and FPL, great. I think this could be a good week. In terms of life, I actually feel good. I got a good sleep last night. I actually have a Aura ring on the way, guys. I don't know if you guys know what an Aura ring is, but they track your health and wellness, and also quite they have a bit of style about them. So I'm really looking forward to that. Good luck, everyone, says Visser. I'm going to prepare the dinner. Visser, before you go, what is for dinner, my friend? Great content, Shai. Thank you for the nice words. Would you start Garner or Sar? I would start Sar for the penalties. Absolutely, I would start Sar. I actually don't really understand anyone selling Sar, if I'm being completely honest. Should I bench boost on Dubravka, KDH, Maguire and Stack? Absolutely not. Just got in, Choi, says Liam. Hello, Liam. What are your thoughts on Haaland versus Bruno captain? For me, I am edging towards Haaland. I don't mind the Bruno captain, I'll be honest, but I see more goals in the City game than I do the United one for sure. Choi, are you doing team ratings? You know what? Let's quickly scroll through my... this is what I love to see. Ha ha ha, you're almost a bigger clown than Raptor. That is brilliant. Sound Kraji, if you're in here. Where are we then? Sorry, got sidetracked. Isaac is in here. Hello, Alexander. Isaac, very solid team for this game week. I have to say that team is a solid 8.5. I mean, unfortunate about Verts. I mean, it would have been higher. I would probably be opting to sell Verts, if I'm being honest, Isaac. But great team. Anto checking in, buddy. Salah captain. Now, this team is a 9, like easily a 9. Kevin Shade. Wow. Nice one, Anto. What moves would you make thinking of doing these? Konate and Rayan in. Yeah, I love those. That defense needs some surgery, though. Like some heavy surgery. You currently have like one player playing in game week 31 on the bench. So I would probably opt for 2 defender transfers over moving Xavi Simons. I mean, Xavi Simons isn't a good hold, but precisely for this Fulham game, it's not the worst. So I would probably try make that defense better, if I'm being honest. No Haaland, lovely. Semenyo captain, beautiful. I mean, if I had no Haaland in that situation, I think I'd also be going Semenyo over Bruno, because I still think City rocked their world. You wish Versus playing. I was just going to say, Zach. Try what to do, transfer in Thiago or Ekitike for João Pedro. I would go Thiago still. Actually, you have Dango and you don't have a Liverpool attacker. You know what? In this individual situation, I'd actually go Ekitike. But very rarely would I go Thiago over Ekitike, personally. Nice team, though. Let me give it a rating. Jose Saha in between the sticks. I mean, he's probably better than Sanchez this game week. I mean, that team is very strong, especially if you go Ekitike. I'm going to give that team a 9.5. That's really good. AT is locked in. Another solid team. I'm surprised to see the amount of Kevin Shade's in. I mean, that looks great given Shade if he has great minutes. Mateus Nunes, one that's been great this season as well. And 2 Elliot Andersons in this team. Nice one. That's also a solid 8.5. Very strong team, AT. Simon. No Haaland. See, look what you can do with no Haaland, man. That team is so solid for this week. I would probably start Timber over Van Heck if I'm being honest, but still another team that looks a solid 9 this game week. Very nice, Simon. Alright, we're going to take 2 more and we'll get back to your chat. Sorry, guys. My feed is all over the place. I'm going to take this one right here. Zeva. Nice team here. I'm going to give this one a 7.5. See, this is where I can't understand. And this is just me personally. I can, if you have a reason for it, by all means. But benching Sarr for Garner just isn't for me personally. I'm that Savesco guy. Very nice, Jose. And then lastly, John Cena in draft mode. He says, I'm confused on Ahmed Adley as a free agent too. What is going on here? Kolomwani Indo, nice one. I mean, I'd have no issue playing this team. Ahmed for Iwobi, why not? And then lastly, Umang. Umang's team, yeah, 2 Elliot Andersons here as well. He's starting Shalaba over Jurien Timber, which is definitely interesting. I'll give that team a solid 7.5. But very good, guys, and thank you for sending in your teams if you are in here. By the way, I do apologize if I could not get back to all of them. By the way, I know I keep saying by the way, sorry. Do hit the like button and subscribe if you aren't already. We're currently on 9,617 subscribers. Slowly but surely getting there, lads. Almost there at the 10k mark. I'm hoping to hit it by the end of the season. You know what, if I just start making some transfer plans videos, which I just haven't had the time to do, I think we'll get there. So I might have to grind it out if I want 10k subs by the end of the season. "25 minutes until the end of the stream, lads." Soboslai or Dango, please, Chai? I'm going to say Dango. Enzo to Dango and play in for Timber or Gabriel or Anderson. That's a Cara. That's a hardly word question. Jono says, have Dango, Shade and Thiago. So I'm all at you from number 1 next week, Chai. Best of luck, Jono, with that. Those are very, very solid moves. Which priority transfer? A, Krupi to Thiago and Royce to Wilson. B, Timber to VVD. C, Enzo to Wilson. I would do option A, Ken. Mark, yes, those are great moves. Wildcard and this is my team, says Gabriel. Yeah, that's a very nice team. The only thing is, like, I'd love to have Salah on a wildcard. I know it sounds so stupid, lads, but you know, with Anderson, he's your enabler. And we're having cheap options like Dango, Thiago, Wilson anyway. Is Gakpo being overlooked? Definitely being overlooked. He's one I've been speaking about, but I can understand if you don't like him. I mean, on the eye in particular, he's very frustrating. Loads of people talking about chip strategies. Get ahead of the curve and do a chip strategy video. I mean, I could, but the thing is, I'm locked in on a wildcard 24 already, so for me it is a bit different. My name is Sharaf, not Cara. Sorry, I do apology. I can't speak. I do apologize, Sharaf. Minnows or Krupi? I would play Minnows. I mean, I think I would just play Minnows, yeah. Fran is locked in. He's gone Palmer to Wilson, Krupi to Thiago. Very nice. He's gone with Bruno captain. Wow. Gabriel is asking who he benches. Gabriel, for me, you probably bench Malik Chow and Hill. And you also bench probably Rayan reluctantly though. Again, just immediately looking at your team, that's how I'd feel. Pickle is locked in. Shalaba to Virgil van Dijk, very solid move there. Actually, a very nice team for this game week. By the way, lads, I really need to put a lampshade on that. That is so annoying for you guys. I do apologise. Evening, which duo? Rayan, Virgil van Dijk, Dango, Konate, Szoboszlai, Anderson. Definitely Rayan, VVD for me, Elliot. Do you like Timber, Tim Maguire, and Mane to Thiago? Absolutely, I do. I mean, not absolutely sold on sorry, got distracted. On Maguire. Alright, I'm just refreshing the timeline, lads, just to see what's going on. An interesting, I don't think so. Let me look up Rob T's predicted points, actually. I don't know if he's done one for the whole top 50. Let's see, has he? You know what's crazy to me? Senesi, even though he's not hit DEFCON recent weeks, still 4.7 on this list, which is crazy. Wilson 4.8 for comparison, and Thiago 4.9. That's mad. He's done a goal projections at least. So top 40. Do we have? Yeah, Rayan is on the list. He's above Gakpo, which is crazy. Like 0.31. He's above Wilson as well. What the hell? That just goes to show how good Rayan has been. And else interesting on this list. Dominic Slanky's 0.34. Interesting not to see Kolo Moani on this list. For me anyway. Roger's only 0.25. Sorry guys, I don't even know if you can see this list. Let me zoom into that top 20 of projected goal scorers this week. Sorry. Bench Elliot Anderson or Timber? I would bench Timber. You know, Timber is not going to get you DEFCON. Hello FPL Nightmare, good to see you my man, hope you're well. Palmer to Salah, start Ayer and Hill, or Palmer to Wilson, Ayer to Virgil, Mukiele to Royley for a hit, and bench Hill. Lots of different permutations there. First off, I actually really don't mind holding on to Palmer. But I know you, FPL Nightmare. I don't know you personally, not yet maybe. But if you can do Palmer to Salah in one move, or less than, you know, a hit, and captain him. Actually, you know what? Let me pull up your team and then I can see what you're working with. I believe you wildcarded recently. Let me have a look. Let's have a look, Andrew, at your team while you're in here. Again, appreciate you for joining. Actually, you retweeted my post as well. I don't think your team is here. So I'll have to take it for what you said. But yeah, I do quite like having the option to Salah, I'll be honest. My worry would be his minutes in Gameweek 29. You can do Palmer to Salah in one move, then I absolutely would. I would absolutely do it then. Andrew, I think that's, you know, that is a bit me. And the reason I'm not getting Salah is because it would take me 1-2 moves to do. And the second thing, like, you have a lot of depth in your team. And you're gaining another player who plays in 31. Or sorry, you're not gaining because Palmer does play, but you're gaining a captaincy option in the weeks to come. Now, my question would only be what he sees minutes being in Game Week 29. If you can look past that, then by all means, Salah, by like all day. Okay, back to my own team in front of you. Get the king in, Andrew. You know what to do. Jono's in agreement. Start Anderson or João Pedro? I would start Anderson personally. Sorry, Troy, I lagged out, says Johnny. Ayer versus Vandenberg if money wasn't an issue, and bench the chosen defender or Ahmed. A year for the goal threat. Cheers, mate. For what it's worth, Prask concurs. And you know why I think Prask would concur? Because he done the solo pod this week solo. And Salah is indeed top of the tree, higher than Erling Haaland. So maybe there's something in it, Andrew. And I do quite like the move in general. I mean, I was planning on doing the move this game week. What put me off was watching Salah. Then I didn't realise how fast the turnaround was for that game in 29. And of course, he is, you know, fasting for Ramadan. So just something for me to consider. And I just can't afford it, given my current team, to have any more rotations. So that's why I haven't brought him in. And I have been really tempted. Ladies and gents, we have 17 minutes until the end of the stream. I hope you are enjoying the stream. If you haven't already, do hit the like button and subscribe. And just another note, I will be live on Sunday with FPL Harry on Fantasy Football Scout. So stay tuned for that. Again, you'll have your differential manager in myself versus the more traditional manager who's, arguably the best in the last few seasons in Harry. So really looking forward to that. Check it out on Scout. And it should be a good watch. And I'm going to look forward to streaming. Why don't I have Virgil van Dijk? Because there's actually no reason. I do plan to get him. Again, the appeal for me on Virgil in this current state is because he plays in 31. I've wildcarded already. And he has a good chance to double in 33. So there's no reason which I don't already own him. It's just right now I am still adjusting my team. Finding out what I kind of want to do with my team. I mean, it's kind of been a mess if I'm being completely honest. Start who? Enzo or Krupi? I would start Krupi. Start Chalobah or Caicedo this game week? I would start Caicedo. Get 2 out of 3 Dango, Wilson, Rogers. To get, I prefer Dango over Wilson, I'll be honest. And I would definitely hold on to Rogers. Will I bring him in? I don't know. Fahim says, I cannot wait to see the stream with Harry. 2 of my favourite FPL content creators. Very nice words, Fahim. And I'm glad that you're looking forward to it, my friend. Dango or Szoboszlai for Enzo? Dango or Szoboszlai for Enzo? I would go Dango. Again, tough decision, but that's what I would do. I'm chasing rank of -8 for Bowen, Enzo and Timber for Thiago, Dango and Virgil. What are your thoughts? You see, a -8 is particularly dangerous when you're getting rid of the one of the best defenses in the league in Timber. Bowen, a player, an attacker who can get DEFCON and, to be honest, pop up in any singular week with a goal. But I wouldn't take a -8 personally, if I'm being completely honest. Like, if I look at the probabilities this game week of even the guys in Thiago and Dango, it's only 1.7% expected goals for Brentford. And that is not a justifiable number. I would say something if it was, 2.50 and you're bringing in the penalty taker for that team. But at 1.7, I don't think it's necessary, really. Again, you could really regret that. And if you want them long term anyway, I think you should go for it.
Wits to Semenyo for -4 or just play Anderson.
Thank you, Aryan, for the super chat, my friend. Much appreciated. He says, Verts to Semenyo for a -4 or just play Anderson. 10 million % just play Anderson for me. Again, Semenyo to outdo that -4 would have to come up with a return to even justify making it. So unless you see, Semenyo getting a double digit, I don't think I would do it. And it's because Anderson also has a 4-point floor. So I would just definitely play Anderson. Figure out what happens with Verts next game. We can move him on if he's still not fit. What's your favorite takeout? Silver Stars, the Chinese. And it's just goated. It's so good. Saying that, I actually really like Mexican food. Severely underrated in my opinion. Start Martinez or Rea in goal. I'd actually start Martinez. No problem with it at all. HI, DCL to Thiago. Yes. Can I bench DCL this week? Yes. Also start one of DCL or Douglas Luiz. Cheers, DCL. Bench Rice, Rogers, Wilson or Watkins. I would be benching Watkins all day. Is there a chance Collins starts this game week? I mean, there definitely is a chance, but I cannot tell you why he's not starting these games. Eddie says, DCL to Thiago. Yes. Sorry, I already answered that question, Eddie. Start one of Enzo or Elliot Anderson. I would play Elliot Anderson. Going to Captain HAALAND and start Krupi ahead of Keane and Enzo. Wise, I like those. Bench Cash or Van Heck. Bruno or Ekitike captain. Ekitike is tempting, man. I'm not going to lie to you. If I had Ekitike, I'd be very tempted. I'm still going to say Bruno though, because it's a sensible thing. Bezo says Broski. Choose 3. Gabriel, Cash, Gahey and Timber. Which 3 defenders to play? I would go Gabriel, Cash and Gahey. I've done Richards to VVD and Enzo to Wilson. Hopefully it pays off. Yeah, I don't think there's any worlds in which that hurts. Should I keep Palmer or do 2 transfers for Ekitike? I like 2 transfers for Ekitike. I'm not going to lie to you. Start Wilson or Sarr? I would start Wilson. Again, very hard to bench Sarr on penalties. I'm not going to lie, but I think I would still play Wilson. Why is Enzo out a must? I don't think he is a must. He played well versus Arsenal last match, and that's exactly why he's in my mind. But again, there are a lot of different midfielders who are better than Enzo Fernandez this week. Alright, I'm going to do another little scroll on the timeline. Bench 1 from Royce, Krupi and Wilson. Probably bench Krupi because Royce, has the DEFCON capability, of course. Especially in the bigger games, you expect him to get it. Any team news? No, not that I know of, my friend, and that's why I've been scrolling through the timeline. I don't think so, and I don't think we're going to get anything important anyway. 10 minutes until the end of the stream, by the way, guys. I hope you are enjoying it as much as I am. Drop the skincare routine, broski. That is interesting you say that. And you know what? Actually, I'm going to pull this up on stream. It is completely separate, but skin has actually been something that I've been kind of struggling with over the last 3 years. I've actually had really, really, really bad acne over the last 2 years, and it's the only reason it's cleared up now is because I'm actually on Accutane. So Accutane is the answer. Would I recommend it? Yes. Let me quickly try find when my acne was bad, just for context for you guys. Thinking this one is really bad. Yeah. Can I get copyright strike from my own video? Look at my skin here. It is absolutely woeful. Don't know if you can see that, guys. But that was at a point where, like, I wouldn't turn my head to the side because I was actually very insecure about it. And at the time, this is when FPL was popping the most for me. Like, content, because I was second in the world, it's not only did I want to stream, but I had to. And it was tough, lads. Genuinely, like, having to go on stream when your face is an absolute meatball. And again, if you have acne, it's not a big deal at all. But for me, because I was insecure about it, what a glow up, Chai. Thank you, appreciate it, Fahim. And you know what? It's only going to get better from here. I mean, I've started the medication almost 2 months now. We're 1 month and 3 weeks in. Very kind words from everyone in chat. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Fahim. But yeah, it's only up from here. Like, it's only going to get better. So let's see if it continues to glow, guys. Yeah, and it's rare that you hear the feminine side of of me come out on stream. But there you go, guys. Do your skincare. And if you are wondering, I just use a gentle cleanser. The thing for skincare, for anyone who's interested, is your cleanser. You're looking for what's called non-comedogenic, and that means that there's no chance that the cleanser can give you acne. And usually it says it on the label of the cleanser. So it means it's dermatology certified, so something to keep an eye on. And keep it minimal, I would say. Martin says you're looking like a K-pop star, bro. That's crazy you say that because I'm the complete opposite to a K-pop star in comparison to, they're way more white than me. I don't know if I come off white on stream, but I'm actually more of a dark-skinned Asian because I come from, Southeast Asia in comparison to K-pop guys who are Korean. But yes, I can see some sort of similarity, I suppose, being Asian. Anyway, guys, thank you for the kind words. I mean, that does my confidence a world of joy. I'd be lying to you if I wasn't saying that. Anyway, back to the FPL. Chuffed to say the least. Captain Thiago or Haaland and why? I just feel like there's more goals in this game for City. Verts to Wilson, absolutely love that. I'm not gonna lie. Captain Thiago, sorry, I answered that. Just gonna refresh the timeline. 7 minutes until the end of the stream, ladies and gents. I hate when it shows me old stuff. Heisenberg is locked in. Verts and Thiago in. Yes, I would sell Verts. He's not expected to play this game. Sar, João Pedro or Sar? I would play Sar for the penalties. Alright, lads. Doesn't look like we're going to get absolutely anything on the timeline. For anyone who's looking for information from for the Villa game, I'll quickly pull up FPL, or is it FPL Villain? It is FPL Villain. Who does the team leaks for Aston Villa. He hasn't leaked anything for this week, but he has done a predicted lineup, and this is what he has for the week for anyone who's looking for something for tonight's game. Did you make any transfers, Choi? I did indeed, Fahim. I've brought in James Hill, and I've also brought in Thiago. Start one of Malik Chow or Anderson. I'd start Malik Chow. Please help. What should I do with Palmer and Somerville? If you can get to Salah in one move, I would do it. But for now, I have no issue with holding on to Palmer. Do you think Brentford will win and Thiago hat-trick? I don't think they'll walk over Burnley. I'm not going to lie, but I just feel like Thiago is likely to be involved in the goals for me. And very much, a good chance to be. You're going from Royce to Semenyo, but not shipping out Mane. Because you think you can find a better way to use 4.7 million. Yeah, that's completely fair. I have Cash and Rogers to play tonight. I hope Cash returns something, being underwhelming. Yeah, he has been underwhelming. And he's one that I always quite like as an FPL option. Double Bournemouth defence. Yeah, I don't love the double Bournemouth defence, I'll be completely honest. But, at this point, I have two guys who are well capable of getting DEFCON. I mean, Senesi hasn't quite done it in recent weeks, but Hill has been smashing it out the park. And if I can catch a week in which both of them DEFCON for their price points, I mean, that would be phenomenal, even if they do concede. Pedro to Raul or hold? I would just hold at that point, Sam. I think. Shall I sell Watkins? I would. Toss on Bruno captain at 1.2 million. Doesn't matter what rank you are to me. I would still prefer Haaland as an option, but Bruno is definitely a really good option for sure. Really depends on your risk appetite. Alright, lads, we're closing in on the deadline. We have 4 minutes to go. Again, thank you all for joining me. We won't close up just yet, and we'll take some quick fire questions if you want to fire them away. But yeah, very much enjoyed the stream. Looking forward to the football, not only to be back, but for the weekend of games to come. I actually feel like in terms of FPL, there are a lot of great games. And also when I'm looking at my team, I have a lot of variation in my team. I have Chelsea, Arsenal, Bournemouth, United, Villa, Everton, City, and Brentford. I mean, that's a lot of variation. Adney says, I don't know what your question is there, Adney. Start Raya or Dubravka? I would start Raya, definitely. Sanchez over Dubravka, because I think there's very little in this. The bookies have 3% in the difference in the clean sheet. I'm just after bringing in Igor Thiago, who I think will score. So therefore, why not bench Dubravka and just play Sanchez? Thiago or Krupi? Thiago for sure, that's not a question. Enzo, Hill, Anderson for Forest to start. I would definitely start Anderson for Forest and Hill if you can. 3 minutes remaining, guys. Who to bench? Casemiro or Krupi? You know what? Casemiro always comes up with something. A home game at Old Trafford. I'd actually just play Casemiro if you have him. Anton. Interesting that you do own him, though. Buy Maguire or Hill? I would buy Hill. Again, cheaper price point. Alright, lads. It looks like we're pretty much there. Again, we've 2 minutes until the end of the stream. Chris is saying, good luck, everybody. Get those green arrows. Ahmed is also saying the same. I'm actually going to round it up there because I feel like I've captured and encapsulated absolutely everything in the stream. I hope you've enjoyed another stream, lads. I do apologise for the late upload today, by the way. I know it came on a Friday, the same day as the deadline, but I have been very, very busy in work. I hope you can appreciate that. And I'm actually just going to wrap it up there. So let me know how you get on. Do at me on Twitter. Don't be a stranger. Put it in the old video of the comment section if I've helped you out for some of your moves. But we'll wrap it up there. Enjoyed the stream and the skincare routine, says Ahmed. Good luck. Thank you all for joining me. And as usual, I will see you in the next